We start this episode where the last one left off, where Baki is packing his things and heading to the forest to train. He starts by rock climbing and quickly realizes that this is not going to be easy. The next morning, we see Reiichi Andou, an old friend of Yujiro Hanma, and Baki. Both Baki and Reiichi are both happy to see each other, so happy that Baki passed out. Sometime later, Baki is excited to see a huge tree and runs towards it, where he meets Reiichi again, with him explaining the age and origin of this tree.
That it is. It's pretty old too. At least 1,000 years. They normally die after 100 or so, but not this one. It's still going strong. You know, this tree has seen 20 or 30 generations of humans pass through this forest.
He also asks Baki why is he here. At the same time, we see a bear being hunted by a white ape-like beast. Both Baki and Reiichi go back to the cabin and catch up, with Baki telling them the story of being knocked out by a world champion boxer. Reiichi calls Baki a bitch and asks him to step outside, and tells him the story of how him and Yujiro would compete by wood chopping and eating. Reiichi then offers to train Baki and gives him 1 month to do it to see results. Baki agrees and asks Reiichi for a favor. Meanwhile, we go back to Baki's mother, Emi, watching a boxing match when Kirigawa comes in to update Emi about Baki with a smirk on her face, knowing that Baki is going down the same path as his father. Baki is then seen beating a bag and reminiscing on the condition that both Baki and Reiichi agreed on, which is for Baki to camp alone at Yasha's Craig alone. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I'm pronouncing any of these words right, to be honest. Which worries Reiichi and warns Baki of the dangers of going there alone, but then lets Baki go anyway due to Baki being adamant about going. Reiichi gives Baki an axe and tells the story about the Yasha Craig ape that Yujiro fought. Baki says fuck your axe and says that he's gonna whoop that ape's ass, and he thinks that the ape won't be that hard of a challenge due to his father beating that ape. Baki is so wrong. Both Baki and Reiichi struggle to beat the ape, but the fight ends with Baki being injured and Reiichi being nearly killed, having to be rushed to the hospital where the doctor explains the legend of the Yasha Craig ape, while the staff freaks out about how big Reiichi is.
Son of a... This guy's huge!
Baki is now back to the cabin with the newfound fear of the Yasha ape, but still trains to take down the Yasha ape to put his strength to the test. Meanwhile, Emi and Kirigawa are watching the championship boxing match, as well as Kazami and Yanihama, although Yanihama seems to have Baki on the mind. Emma says that this boxing match is lame, and explains to Kirigawa about the limitations that Baki is trying to break. We then cut back to Baki doing some insane, intense training, pushing his body to the limit. Then Baki's endorphins awaken within, and he trains even harder than he ever did before. And with each training regimen, more and more endorphins are awakened. Meanwhile, we see Kazami and Yanihama go to Baki's place to look for him, not knowing that he is not home. We then go back to Baki as he feels the need to cross the line and push his training to the ultimate limit by jumping off a cliff to end the episode.